the dark and eerie forest, where trees merged into a single black thicket, a lone wanderer became lost. Night descended upon him like a cloak of darkness, obscuring any path to salvation. The silent rustle of leaves beneath his feet created the illusion that the forest itself was alive, breathing its own atmosphere of madness. He trudged on, feeling as if unseen forces were pulling him deeper into the thickets, as if trying to drown him in a sea of the unknown. Eventually, weary, exhausted, and hopeless, he stumbled upon a cabin, standing in a corner of the forest like an island of refuge in a sea of madness. The cabin was old, ravaged by time and neglect. He entered, hoping to find shelter from the darkness and cold of the night. Inside, silence reigned, so deafening that it seemed as if the forest itself held its breath. The wanderer surveyed the cabin. It was empty, save for an old bed on which he could rest. Fatigue overcame him, and he decided to spend the night here, hoping that morning would bring light and answers to all his questions. But sleep eluded him. His consciousness was awakened by flickering light penetrating through the cabin's windows. He turned to shield himself from it and noticed something strange. Portraits hung on the walls of the cabin. They were eerie and grim, as if depicting not people, but otherworldly creatures, gazing at him with cold disdain. A sense of unease washed over him. He rose to get a better look at the portraits and realized that the faces in them were completely unfamiliar. They bore something repulsive, making him feel awkward and exposed before them. Trying to distract himself, he closed his eyes and attempted to sleep. But every time he closed his eyes, it seemed to him that the portraits were drawing closer, their cold gazes piercing through the darkness and consuming him. Fatigue and fear battled within his soul. But finally, weariness prevailed, and he fell asleep. Morning came abruptly and mercilessly, as if driving him out of a nightmare. The wanderer woke up, greeted by the bright sunlight streaming through the cabin's windows. Rubbing his eyes, he looked around. And then he understood. There were no portraits on the walls. He was alone in the cabin. The only witnesses to his nocturnal nightmares were the windows, peering out into the world beyond. He realized that the darkness that haunted him was not so much external as it was internal. And now, liberated from the shackles of his own fears, he could leave this place, leaving behind only the dust of the past and hope for a brighter future. But the memory of the cabin and its grim walls would stay with him forever, reminding him that nothing is as terrifying as one's own doubts and fears rooted deep within their being.